All right, welcome. We are back with part two of losermaxxing. Why smart men end up alone. If you were gracious enough to listen to the entire first thing, or if you put it in the background, I don't care. Analytics probably works the same way. I don't know. I'm learning. We got into a little bit of why losermaxxing, who is a character, I'm telling you, why he thinks smart men end up alone, and I think it's cope. I think the whole video is just cope on top of cope wrapped with some truth to make the cope go down easier. And I'm gonna go right back into where I left off. I'm not gonna do the entire thing, but I am gonna. I did a lot. I had a lot to say on it, and so I decided to do a part two. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
In real life, there's things like mutual accountability, shared acquaintances. Like if you just suddenly ghost your real life friend, then there'll probably be some kind of backlash, or it'll impact other people beyond just the two of you. But if you ghost your internet friend, there's pretty much no impact whatsoever.
Okay, so kind of catch you up on this one, right? He's saying that friends on the internet aren't real friends because there's no consequences to like ghosting them. The relationships can't be real if you can just leave those friendships. Like if you're in real life and I hate that guy, but we're in the same circle, if I just stop talking to him, there's real consequences for that. And I can see some truth to what he is saying, that um there's more consequences to real life friends than are to internet friends, but it doesn't take away from how important internet friendship can react. Parasocial YouTube relationships are unhealthy because they are so impactful. Like people on the internet are so important to some people that it completely defies logic because you don't know that guy. But when you do get to know somebody, it has to count for something, right? It's a way to cope if he doesn't even have internet friends.
It just doesn't really matter. You'll probably never even think about it again after like 2 days. Okay, so you can't just find your tribe on some random Discord servers or whatever. That's not the same. It's not even close to the same as a person that you have a relationship with in your real life within the same community. That's important that you actually physically share a community with a person that you have a relationship with. Okay, so internet communities is not the same thing. Okay, I think I've made my point there. So being a free thinker, a person that actually analyzes the information you receive and comes to your own well thought out conclusions, unless you hide your true thoughts, it's pretty much a guarantee in this day and age that you're going to be spending most of your time alone.
And this is where he gets, again, I know I keep saying cope a lot, but it is high level cope. He's saying that anybody who thinks about things critically, like they hear something, they don't immediately just regurgitate talking points, or they say, like, I get it. I get part of what he's saying. Like, nothing's more frustrating when you're talking with somebody and you're like, is that true? Like, well, like, did you look up to see if what you just said is true? And they're like, well, I heard it somewhere. Okay, where? And it was like, well, I don't remember. Right, because remember one of my earlier videos, I said that facts become insular after a certain point. You know where you heard it from, if you heard it from somewhere. But after a while, the fact just becomes a brick in your thought process tower, and you don't even know where was the brick made, who placed the brick, who none of that stuff. You just know it's an integral part of what you think, right? And there's something to be said about, yeah, it is frustrating. We're talking to somebody, and you're like, hold on, let me look this up and see if and they're like, no, you gotta look up everything because you're talking. You're saying words, and we have to make sure that the words you're saying match any of the information you have. Are you high? Are you goofy? You can't just talk, and that's the expectation, is that your words have power because you're saying those words. So to a point, yes, like it, that does happen.
Or even if you do know some people that will tolerate you,
But what I was saying is that he's saying, like, if you do any of that, you can only be tolerated. That's cope. You will find people who like you. You have to scale it, but you can't always be at 100. You've got to scale it to 80. You've got to scale it to 60, to 50, to 40. You won't just go to a funeral and say, man, this corpse got a really stupid outfit on out loud to everybody. You'll think it if they do have a stupid outfit on. But you understand at some level that'd be stupid to say. It's unnecessary. It's unneeded. So how can you understand it in some respects, but not in others?
that's all they're doing, tolerating you. And I'm sure you can feel it. Maybe they tolerate you because they're just really lonely otherwise, or maybe it's because they think you might be able to help them get a job later on or something. But whatever the reason is, they're just tolerating you. Being tolerated is the best you can hope for, unless you just pretend to be normal. But that's not always easy. It can actually be really exhausting, always pretending, because being yourself, that's natural. That's more of an automatic process. Masking and trying to act normal, that takes effort, especially because you probably don't always know what normal is. I'm sure you can guess most of the time, but some of the positions that normies hold.
Okay, you hear the problem with what he's saying? You hear the issue? He's saying you don't always know what normal is. That extends to everybody. Everybody is trying to figure out that there's normies. No, there's a group of people who just are closer and what they believe than you are to them. And yes, there's a group of people who think like you. It just may not be as many as you would like there to be. You don't know what normal is. We all just go and we act and we try to pretend and figure out and get to where we need to get every second of every day, every interaction. You're saying like, oh, it's exhausting. Okay, then you don't need to have friends. But you also need to say like, I'm unwilling to do the work to figure out where that line is. Like, I would like to be 100 with somebody. Can't. Okay, 90 is 90 appropriate? Yeah. Okay, great, right? But you don't even have the ability to take that step because you're afraid of that no, which is okay, which is fine. But say that, say like, I don't think I have it in me to be a person worthy of being somebody's friend.
Are so contradictory, it can be hard to even know how to mask effectively. Because if you're
You
a
see,
person
if you
that
don't
thinks
know, then
about
it's
things
not normal.
critically, then the whole process by which you form your opinions is just entirely different from how most people form their opinions. The average person just believes what they believe because they think it's what they're supposed to believe. The normie thought process is like receive information, then they think, okay, what is the socially acceptable position to have about this? Okay, so that's my position. But the free thinker's thought process is more like you receive information, you carefully consider all the reasons why that may or may not be true, and that's the key difference. You're seeking the truth. You're not forming your belief.
And that's what I hate when people say you're seeking the truth. You're seeking what is passionate to you, right? You may have things that are more passionate to you or more things that are passionate to you, but you're not always looking for the truth. Because if you're looking for the truth, you'd say, am I a loser? Like, can I overcome this? And you're not doing that actively. You're not actively seeing, hey, if I worked out, I got a better haircut. Like he has a picture of him on his page or a couple of videos. Man, go trim the beard up, get it lined up. Oh, well, he talks about going on a couple of dates. Hilarious stories. I'm definitely reacting to him. But him going on a date, like look at all these miscues. You need to watch it like film. Look at all these miscues you had on this date. Now when you go on your next date, you'll have a better one. But that's the truth. The truth is you can improve. He's trying to say like, oh, there's absolutes. Either you are or you aren't immediately. And if you aren't immediately, then there's no point. That's a crazy outlook on life.
Based on your desire for acceptance. That's what normal people do. But as a free thinker, you're actually seeking the truth. And being a free thinker, critical thinker, whatever you want to call it, it's not a choice. And I don't think it's something you can train yourself to do either. It's not
Yes,
necessarily
it is.
just
You can.
genetic. I think there is a nurture component probably. I'm not going to act like I know exactly how it works, but I'm pretty sure it's something that starts early on in your life. Nobody's learning how to think critically in college. I don't care what these universities tell you.
Cope.
They
Cope.
cannot teach you
That's where a
how
lot of
to think
people learn
critically.
that.
And in most cases, they're not even trying. But just think, when you think about your interactions with normies and the things you hear them say, it just seems so foreign to you, doesn't it? Because it is hard to understand that kind of thought process. Or, I mean, the thought process itself isn't really hard to understand. It's actually pretty simple, but it's hard to understand how a person could actually think that way. And it's probably frustrating to you when you hear somebody just spout off some mimetic talking points and you just know that it's not an original thought that they had. They're just repeating stuff they heard. Probably didn't actually think about it at all. It's frustrating when you see that. It's really frustrating. Well, just how you get frustrated by the normie's thought process, they're frustrated by yours too. To them, when you express an original opinion, it just breaks their normie brain.
Okay, but you see how he phrased that? He almost has some good insight. Like he was saying, as much as something bothers you that other people do, you bother other people with what you do. But instead, he absolved himself of all guilt. He says, I'm right. They're mad because I'm making them think it could be true, but there's no way everybody he interacts with, like just listen to a couple of his videos, right? He rarely thinks ahead. He rarely thinks about, "Oh, what should I say next? Was that the right thing to say? Does this make sense? Is this tolerable? Am I putting people out by saying what I'm saying?" That never crosses his brain. It's literally, I said a thing in the moment. People didn't react the way I want. Everybody else must be wrong. You know, that's he's unwilling or unable to, maybe unable, maybe got a little autism, maybe unable to understand that he is also a part of this problem for other people. Now, I'm not going to watch the entire thing. I know, I should don't even know if I should have made a part two, but you kind of get where I'm going with that. I'm gonna watch a little bit. I'm gonna skip ahead, just so you can see. Like, I'm gonna skip to a random part of the video to end it, so you can see if he's still on that same kind of rhetoric.
Where the other person tries to sabotage your reputation on social media or within your larger social group. So it's really a balancing act, and it's really difficult to get it right. And I'll go ahead and admit right now, I don't know how to do it. I can't get it right.
Hey,
I pretty much,
very
at this
simple way.
point, I just fully mask around everybody all the time, even my family to some.
That's why you're exhausted, right? You've given up. Like, instead of, you've reached the point. This is a part of the cycle. You're so tired of trying to figure it out. You're just on all the time, and you can't be a battery can't run all the time. You'll either collapse in on yourself or you end up like you.
Extent, which sucks, but I mean, the alternative is probably worse. I
What's the
always get
alternative?
punished one way or another. There's always some negative repercussions whenever I do actually speak my mind. So I just fully mask these days.
And this is kind of what I mean. Like, has he ever stopped to examine how he's doing that? I'm gonna give you a really. It's completely unrelated to this. It's gonna be in another video that I'm talking about. It's my part two of my Coon series. Here's something reasonable that I feel like you should say. Here's how a coon would say it and how a reasonable black person would say it, right? And it's the reason why a lot of, like, we can't ever mesh, right? So something reasonable. Maybe this will spark some debate, right? In the comments, let me know. In the current American system, it is better for you and the woman you have a child with to like each other and stay together. You get a lot more benefits, from not having 8 or 9 baby. Again, I got 3 baby mamas. I might be delivering the message, but I am the wrong messenger, or maybe I'm the right messenger, depending on if you can learn from my mistakes, right? So it's better for you to consolidate your income. Two people come together, two poor people even come together, make a household, have one, maybe two children. They stay together. They work hard for that next generation. And a lot of the ills that are put upon us from the past and to the present can be mitigated by focusing, having a plan, finding somebody with a similar plan, and moving in unison, moving as a unit, and not worrying about the outside world as much as you can. It's about self actualization and self determination as much as it can be given the current system we live in. Reasonable. How Kuhn would say it. You don't see white people doing that. White people, and no white person has ever had a baby mama. Only black people. That's why black people are poor, nothing else. There's no period in time in which we had it worse than white people. All they did was have one nuclear family, no advantages, merit all over the place. No businesses were handed down from father to son or mother to daughter. There's no advantages they had. We're the problem, right? You see how one is reasonable. You can have a conversation with this person. The other one, it sounds so unreasonable. You wouldn't want to waste the energy having a conversation with that person, even though we probably said the same thing, right? What he's saying is what I'm trying to reiterate. I'll use that big example to give myself some thinking material for the next video, but also to say, has he ever thought that it's the way he comes across that makes it so other people aren't able to tolerate him, right? If he's frustrated with others, is he able to articulate himself well enough to tell them why he feels this way, why he feels alienated? What can he do to bridge that gap? You don't hear any of that.
I do have this YouTube channel where I can show my true self. Although even that, I'm sure it'll come back to bite me eventually. I mean, it already did, kinda, when my mom found my videos. But, whatever. I don't really care that
36-year-old man,
much
by the way.
what she thinks. As long as she doesn't kick me out of
Sounds
the
like a
house,
teenager.
it's whatever. And even if she did, I could always go stay with my dad. So, I don't really care about that. It's not really a big deal. But yeah, it is a painful existence sometimes. Not every free thinker is destined to be alone forever, but I
Great
do
self-awareness.
think that every free thinker struggles significantly with being accepted.
I wouldn't say
And I'm sure
significantly,
the
but
average
you could say more than
conformist
the average.
normie also struggles with acceptance to some
Again,
degree, but I
because
really don't think
normal
they have it quite as
is
bad.
constantly
And their
revolving
struggle is different. So I'm
in a part.
hesitant to give you a chance if they think that their social circle won't approve of what you believe in. And again, you can
I'm gonna go back a
mask,
little bit
you
because I
can
think you've got a
pretend,
good point,
unless,
and
of
I know I
course,
want to hear
you're
you
like
because
6'5" with a chiseled jawline and a full head of hair.
it does
If
help
you
though.
look like that, then you could probably be an open supporter of the Austrian with the small mustache,
Yes,
and
you can.
women would still
Yeah,
throw themselves at you.
they've proven
But
that.
for
They did
most of
some
us,
studies on that.
even if you're above average, women will be very hesitant to give you a chance if they think that their social circle won't approve of what you believe in. And again, you can mask, you can pretend to have all of the.
There is some truth to that, but it depends on what he means, and I'd have to talk to him about that, right? You know how many women again, it's just internet people, but how many women hate their homegirls' boyfriends because they like, why are you liking this dude? You know, he's not at all who we think you belong with or anything of that nature. But you see that so often enough, there has to be at least a small group of women who love dating against the grain. Like, you can't have, obviously, the loudest voices are the ones that are heard. The angriest voices are the ones that are heard. So if there's 100 videos on the internet of women who hate their friends' boyfriends because they don't like that they go against the grain, there's probably 1,000 women who are just fine because they're not on the internet talking because they're happy, living happy lives, having happy friendships, right? But that should let you know that there's at least 100 women who would date somebody who their friends do not like, and you could be that guy.
The socially acceptable opinions, and you might have some success doing that. But that's not a good long-term solution. Nobody can maintain that for the entirety of a 30, 40, 50-year relationship, or even just for a few years, or even a few months. I think for most people, it's hard to just totally hide your true self with somebody that you're that close to.
You shouldn't be hiding your true self. There should be levels to it, right? You want to be as much of yourself as you can be. But that's why like it's so jarring when you hear like when people come out as gay 30 years into a marriage, and you'll get like, let's say I'm gonna give you a random, obviously made up statistic, but 90% of the people on the internet are like, wow, you've wasted everybody's time. That's so rude. Why did you do that? There'll be a good 5% of people like, well, I mean, I could kind of see, might have been a different time. That's still crazy. You should feel bad. Nothing you can do about it now. Try to make it right. And then there'll be a small subsection of people, whatever percentage remains of what I said of that, who were in that boat. So they're fully empathized, fully empathetic. Like, because you'll see a bunch of comments are like, wow, you should feel bad about that. And there'll be one or two comments where they're like, oh, same thing happened to me. Nobody knows your pain. Feel great. And unfortunately, that's probably who that person will latch on to, because it absolves them of some of that guilt. But, you know, it, that's the reason why it's such an anomaly. You can't mask that long. You can't spend your entire life being somebody else and have it go well. It will weigh on you too heavy mentally. That's why you've got to do a better job of finding small little inroads to get closer to that thing. That's what I'm trying to tell you in this whole video, is that you can be closer. You'll never be 100. You'll never be yourself all the time. You're not even yourself with yourself 100% of the time. What makes you think you can be that way with another person who you're building life with? They have hopes and dreams, and then people change down the line. Some people more than others, but people become, oh, wow, what a weird lisp. Some people become different people as they navigate who they are as people. So you may get closer or further away from that person. That's why divorces happen. I'm not one of these people who think that you should stay married forever. You know, even though it is advantageous to stay married forever for your kids or whatever, right? You shouldn't stay married to a person for the simple fact that you already married them. After you've tried, and if it's irreconcilable and you know you've tried and you can look at yourself in the mirror and you try, great. But that's why those things happen. That's why divorces are okay. Like, it is sad to say, hey, this person got divorced, but it's not sad to say, like, man, a good thing you didn't try to, like, do more. You didn't, kill yourself in this relationship.
For any extended period of time. Even if you could technically do that, most people would feel guilty about it, or if
All right, we'll do
nothing
one
else,
more.
it's just super exhausting. Some family that love me. A lot of people don't even have that though. And I've
Okay, so
been
yeah, this would
depressed.
be a good place to stop. Like I said, great first endeavor encounter with this videos. I'm gonna be doing a lot of these. I'm probably gonna do weekly loser maxing videos as long as he's making content. I love this dude, and if you're ever in the net, man, come hang out with me. But you gotta promise me you're going to at least attempt to to listen to what I'm saying while we interact and hang out. So you're not trying to just be a jerk for no reason. Because there are some people who like that. They like to walk into a space and they like to put negative energy in to ruin everybody else's day so other people can feel how they feel. But I guarantee you, man, if you come and hang around, you'll realize, like, okay, he's right. I am being unreasonable. How much closer to reasonability can I get? And that goes for anybody. The reason why this video is so important is that if you out there feel like you can't get anything done, take stock. Figure out there may be some insurmountable things. I'll never be in the league. I'll never be able to jump high enough or never be tall enough, right? I'm too old, right? But that's an exception to a rule I'm not even privy to. So that's just kind of trying to make sure people understand, like, you can kind of get a little bit where you need to be, taking some accountability, reflect, and be reasonable. Uh, Again, thanks for tuning in with me. Thanks for coming back to this video. Sorry I've been taking a break. It's my first chance that I've been able to prioritize. I don't want to say I couldn't have done it. I could have done it. I could have sacrificed some sleep or sacrificed something else to get that done, tell my kids, but it wasn't worth it to me. This is the first time I've been able to prioritize to get back to recording videos. Hopefully the hiatus isn't too long. I plan to have 3 or 4 of these out in the next day or two. One.